Okigwe Imo State has been agog for quite some years now, and you begin to ask what exactly is happening despite the presence of military personnel and their armored carriers. Why is Imo State becoming agog? Why is Imo State becoming a place of blessings? It's quite unfortunate, and some might consider it mysterious, but with the unfolding realities and the revelations before the public domain, we can now ascertain who is behind all these atrocities, who is behind the killings, the massacre, the disruption of public peace, and order in Imo State. Establishing my arguments on the premise that the first citizen of Imo State, in the person of Governor Hope UZODINMA, has barred his mind, has revealed who is behind these atrocious and deadly, nefarious acts being carried against NNAMDI and the indigenes of the Eastern region. Now, coming from the perspective of the governor, who in recent months said that the insecurity in the eastern part of Nigeria, or the supposed Biafran territory, precisely IMO, is not all about IPOB. It is not about IPOB, but its political gladiators, his political opponents, who are bent as making his government ungovernable, of disrupting the communal peace and societal activities within the Imo State, making sure that his government is ungovernable. This is what the first citizen of Imo State, Governor Hope UZODINMA, made a public assertion, a public briefing. Now the question is, why is the Nigerian media neglecting or ignoring such assertions? Or they feel to choose whichever information they want to sustain, they want to broadcast, they want the media or the public to know. I think the Nigerian media are not doing any favor to the governor of Imo State. There have been several controversies, confusion surrounding the insecurity in the eastern part of the country, precisely Imo State, Anambra, and environs. People has been accusing the indigenous people of Biafra, who are in their own locality, who will do everything to protect their ancestral homes and preservation of their culture and posterity. IPOB has come on several occasions denying involvement in such dastard acts, that they are not after their own people who they are fighting to protect. NNAMDI KANU has reiterated, had made this position very clear on several occasions. But the mischievous, those who are bent at discrediting the eastern region, those who are fighting against the collective interests of the Igbo people and race, don't want to listen to the governor. Now, of most recent, the governor of Borno State, Zulum, came to say that the entire Borno State is falling into the hands of the terrorists, the ISWAP and the Vedas and their sister terrorist groups. Everybody believed him. The Zamfara governor made the same assertion. People believed it. The media picked it up. Why is the media not emphasizing the position of Hope UZODINMA, the governor of Imo State? I salute his courage despite the controversial circumstances surrounding his personality, as people perceive him to be a very bad man, in quotes. Well, that is for him to exonerate or defend himself. I'm not here to defend him or to support him or to discredit him. He has the right to defend himself and make, of course, people understand where he stands and his positions and actions or contributions to the state of insecurity in Imo State, because he has made it very clear that it is not IPOB who is fueling or sponsoring this insecurity in the eastern part of the country, Imo State precisely. Now, if the office of the governor, which is the first citizen of Imo State, can make such assertion, who are you to counter him? IPOB has on several occasions said they are not involved. The security operatives or personnel with the armored carriers storms Imo State on several occasions. They should be blamed and the politicians who are responsible for the insecurity. This is what the governor of Imo State said, that it is political rivals or opponents who are fighting to destroy or disrupt the rule of law within the Imo State. So he was not messing words. He was not, of course, confused while making this statement. Now, if that is the case, if the governor of Borno State, Zulum, governor of Zamfara State can make an assertion and people believe him, the media accept that, why are they not emphasizing? Why are they not pointing out the position of Governor Hope UZODINMA that exonerated the indigenous people of Biafra? That they are not the one. These are his political rivals who are fighting him because of the circumstances surrounding his emergence. Some called him Supreme Court governor and the rest of them. So some people felt aggrieved, some people felt they are tethered or subchanged or whatever be the case, and they think the only way they will pay him back is to make his governor ungovernor or to discredit him, whatever be the case. He has the right to defend himself and to prove them wrong, because at the end of the day, he should be held responsible for the state of insecurity, being the chief security of the state. He has no any excuse tenable reason why the Imolites, the Imo, should be massacred recklessly, whether they are non-government or whatever. But the heavy-duty militarization of the eastern region, Imo State and Anambra precisely, who should be held responsible? We have the highest formation, military formations, roadblocks in Imo State. Who should be blamed? And in the midst of these military checkpoints and the rest of them, people are still unleashing mayhem. Now the question is, anytime NNAMDI KANU goes to court or intends to appear before the court, they will intensify the onslaught in order to discredit the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. These are mere strategic calculations tends towards discrediting his personality and what he stood for, which is the equity, fairness, and the rule of law. NNAMDI KANU is an epitome of excellence par excellence when it comes to leadership and the rule of law. He said he did not want the death of any Biafran. He is fighting to protect the Biafrans and would not engage in any dastard or nefarious act that could jeopardize the life of Biafrans. I recall in one of his videos before his extraordinary rendition, before his kidnapped from Kenya, he said he wants parents from the Biafran defined territory that they should warn their children to desist from any sort of nefarious activities. That if any child is caught disrupting the public peace, if any child is caught in criminality, in kidnapping, or all sorts of vices that disrupt people's or threatens the peace or the life of the indigenous people of Biafra, that such person will be culpable and will be held responsible, and he has to face the wrath of the law, that they will not condole or spare anyone under any disguise taking undue advantage of the indigenous people of Biafra. This is the position of a leader, the position of a man who is out to serve his people with all sincerity of purpose and character. He has ever maintained being as pure and white than white. He did not want to compromise or soil his hands. He doesn't want to destroy the people he is defending. This prompted him, after meeting with the eastern governors, that how would they strategize to build a synergy and create a security outfit that will defend the people against the invasion, the killings, the raping of our mothers and our daughters. He fluctuated the Eastern Security Network to protect the entire regions or territory of forests of the eastern region against the invasion, just as what is happening today. If Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been supported by the governors, unfortunately they went to betray him and they failed to protect the same people they are saddled with the responsibility constitutionally to protect. So they are complicit to the insecurity rocking Imo State or rocking the entire southeastern region. The entire governors are culpable and should be held responsible because under the law they took an oath of office to protect the life and properties of the individual states, which is the primary responsibility of any responsible government. The protection of life and property of the citizens. Now, when they fail or compromise in this regard, they should be held responsible under the law. That is what the law says. But unfortunately, it seems there is no rule of law regard to the rule of law instead in Nigeria today. Otherwise, those governors should be jailed or summoned in international criminal courts for allowing the assaults, the raping, the killings, the massacring of the indigenous people of the eastern region in their respective homes. I mean, they are being killed and murdered in their own homes, in their farmlands, by intruders, by foreign mercenaries, in collaborations with the state actors, probably to overrun the eastern region. But because of certain vested interests of selfishness on the part of the governors of security of personnel, they have compromised the safety, the protection of life and property of their supposed people or citizens. Now, they feel that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu poses a threat to their political interests against the well-being, the welfare of the life of the people. They can sacrifice the destiny, the life, and the prosperity of the entire eastern regions, or the Igbos precisely, in order to safeguard and procure or secure their political ambitions. Let them go and ask questions. What happened to Zeke? After answering the Zeke of Africa, where is he today? Can we make any reference? What is the people or the public perception about Zeke to his people? That is fundamental, and we must understand this, why we have the opportunity, because no condition is permanent. Power or whatever you think is transit, and everyone, if not now, sometime in the future or thereafter, will be held responsible for whatever action or inaction geared towards the destruction and annihilation of his own people. So I want to call on the media to stop this sentiment and censor reports or reportage. Let them analyze deeply the position of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the indigenous people of Biafra in correlation with the position or the press briefing of the governor of Imo State that exonerated in IPOB of whatever allegations that have been levied against him, that they are responsible. IPOB led by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He said it was not IPOB, they are not responsible. What I believe is in defense of the faith, which is an inalienable right, regardless of the race, the nation, the geographical region. It is an inalienable right for someone to defend himself. As Nnamdi Kanu floated the Eastern Security Network geared towards this noble objective of protecting the people. If that idea was adopted, any good people wouldn't have been raped in their own farms, killed in their own homes, sacked. Over 17 or more communities have deserted, and more still on the line. The same people who opposed Nnamdi Kanu, who betrayed him, who of course conspired to detain him, to rendition him, could no longer protect their own people. They are rather protruding, begging and asking the people not to retaliate. So, on the standpoint of defense, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu maintain that they have to defend their territory, the eastern region, against the invaders, which today the DSS boss is calling for all indigenous people and communities to rise and defend themselves. So which means even the DSS boss agrees with the position of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, which is a natural law, the law of self-defense, regardless of the race, the nation, the tribe, or whatever. It is the inalienable right that cannot even be taken away by the government or any instituted authority. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, on every front, has been vindicated. Now, what else could he be tried for? If the DSS, under this current dispensation, can say, defend yourselves against the terrorists, those who are coming to kill you, because if you don't know, let me tell you, it is your inalienable right to self-defense. He even cited, giving a scenario, what happened in the north about a community who on several occasions have been invented, not until they stood, they realized they have the right to self-defense, and eventually when they did, they terminated the enemies, and from that day, they never had such occurrence or the occurrence. Amidst this trial and the tactical hearing and whatever, of course, the court have given an injunction that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu legal counsel or other defenders or whatever it's called, the federal government should not entertain any press media. We are here analyzing the facts, the figures. People keep living in denial because of their selfish interests. They don't want to pick up the truths and run with it. Most of them must clear and vindicated Nnamdi Kanu. So if some people are rumoring that UZODINMA is against the release of Nnamdi Kanu, it could be mischievous. That if eventually such allegation is true, then UZODINMA could be accused of complicit, of double standards, because you can't be checking the bush, the forest, and coming out to ask who is doing that. By your words, you shall be judged or condemned. From what I have heard from Hope UZODINMA, the governor, he has exonerated the IPOBOF, the indigenous people of Biafra, and by extension, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, by saying that the insecurity is not fueled by indigenous people of Biafra, but rather his political rivals. Let's have your own take regarding this update and development, and I want you to share this video. Let it go viral. Let people get to be sensitized that the innocency of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu could no longer be questioned under these current realities and revelation. Thanks for watching. I remain Chigos Ndibo, your host anchor.